right, let's kind of get started real briefly. Today, I just want to get going over starting Project 2. We're halfway through the semester, a little more than halfway now, actually, through the semester, believe it or not. So it's time to get started on that. I believe you have an assignment due this week, okay, and that's going to be to pick a company. And I want to reiterate, it needs to be a publicly traded company. That's the only way we're going to find the types of information that we want to find. I would also caution you about picking a company that is maybe a foreign company whose stock is listed on U.S. exchanges. Okay, they're called ADRs, automatic deposit something. I'm not even sure what the ADR stands for, but you'll like Sony. Okay, you could probably, I think we can go call up our stockbroker. I think they're listed either on the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. Okay, just to give you an example, but Sony's not a U.S. company. I fear in that case, in some of those cases, that our access to the information just wouldn't be as good as if it is an American company. I'm pretty confident in what American companies have to disclose quarterly, okay, and then in their annual reports. I'm really confident in the information we can find there, unless there's something going on wrong with the company and they're not reporting properly, which is a big red flag. But so choose a company that's an American company. Another example might be Anheuser-Busch, okay, Bud, right? We think it's an American company, right? It's actually owned by InBev, which is a Belgium company, okay? I think that their information's pretty solid. You know, if you really wanted to do that, I think that'd be okay. So there could be some exceptions to what I'm saying, but if you're thinking about a company that's like that, check with me first, and let's make sure that there's plenty of information available. Okay, so what kind of company should I choose? The key, I think, is to pick one that's got a relatively basic structure, basic business model, let's put it that way. It doesn't matter how big they are. Okay, Costco is a huge company, right? But they do one thing, really. Okay, I mean, you could say they're expanding into some online, and they are, but basically they're a retailer, right? Okay, their gross margin's 13%. I can just about guarantee you, looking at it in the past. Okay, great company, perfectly good company to analyze, right? Even though they're big, they're really pretty simple in their business model. Okay. On the other hand, if you picked GE, hell, Costco may be bigger in market cap than GE. We could take a look in a bit. If you pick GE, though, GE is this huge conglomerate, right? They've got planes, trains, and not quite automobiles, but I'll bet you they make parts for automobiles. I'll bet you somewhere in their vast array of companies that they have, they probably make some parts for autos, right? So they do all kinds of things that are a little bit different, and it would be difficult to analyze a company like that, okay? Don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to analyzing companies like that. I'm just trying to make your life a little bit easier for this assignment, right? By choosing something that's a little bit more straightforward, okay? And you're also limited in the number of pages, okay? Your final paper is going to have a max of 5 pages. So all of a sudden, if you've got 30 different subsidiaries that you're trying to analyze, you're not going to get that done in 5 pages, okay? So keep those things in mind. You're going to be asked to find the ticker symbol for the company. And why do I do that? Because ticker symbols are oftentimes an easier way to find out the information, to get to the information that you really need. What is a ticker symbol? Well, back in the day when they had ticker tape, okay, and they did that, they wanted to abbreviate companies so that they could fit it on the ticker tape, more of it on the ticker tape. It wasn't like computers now where we just have this vast capabilities. They had this little ticker tape. It was literally a tape that ran through the machine that would read out stock quotes and those types of things, okay? And so companies have these ticker symbols. They're recognized by their ticker symbols, and it makes it, in a lot of ways, it makes it easier for us to look up information. So how do you find that? The easiest way is just Google it, or I use Bing. Most of the time you're going to find it. You might just type in ticker symbol. There's a deal that says lookup, and that might even take us there. I don't know, but let's say for Under Armour, UA. Okay. I now know the ticker symbol for Under Armour. It's listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Okay, it's UA. There's actually, this could get a little bit confusing. There is actually a UAA, I believe, which is or it might be UAB. It's a different class of stock that still is Under Armour. Okay, that's really your assignment. Okay, if you have troubles finding it, you may find maybe your company that you're choosing is not publicly traded. Okay, that's a possibility. If you wanted to do North 40, North 40 is not publicly traded. Okay, I think one of the largest anyhow, non-publicly traded companies in the world is Cargill, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and so if you were thinking of doing Cargill, even though it's a huge company, huge company, and I may be wrong, I think it could be ConAgra. Yeah, see, nothing came up. Company profile and news. It says including a stock price, so they might have a I may be thinking of ConAgra then, that's the bigger company. And they might have gone public in the meantime too, so. Yeah, but there again, it's not telling me much, so it may be the one that I'm thinking of that is, okay. If you can't find it, ask me, I guess, if that's a company that you're truly interested in. We'll see if we can find it. But if not, you may have to go a different route, find a different company. Okay. The first one, I had one student get ahead a little bit and submitted one to me, and it's a cooperative. It's a huge cooperative. Okay. Cenex Harvest States is a cooperative. Okay. Could we find information on them? Yeah, a lot of their information has to be public. But they're a not-for-profit business, actually. Okay, we're wanting to analyze for-profit businesses here. Okay, so Cenex Harvest States wouldn't necessarily be a good choice. Wouldn't be a good choice at all. Okay, so you got to be a little bit careful about what you pick. Make sure that it's a publicly traded company, because as we go along, we'll see that we can find all kinds of information on publicly traded companies because they're required to report. They're required to report quarterly. So we can get all kinds of up-to-date information, and they also are required to file annual reports, and as you'll see, those are pretty extensive. They're generally over 100 pages long, okay, for each company. They're fairly standard, though, okay, so once you kind of get looking at it, you'll realize that they're fairly standard, and it's not going to be that hard to parse out the information that we need. So a great site as we go along that I like to use is Morningstar, okay, and there's some other ones too. FINRA is a good site, and in fact I've started to go to a place called FINRA fairly often. I think it gives us a little better financials. You get there, I plugged in, let me go back here. Here's what comes up when I go to Morningstar, but if I click up here, their little search thing, I didn't click up there. If I click up there, it says search quotes and sites. This is where I probably need the ticker symbol, or at least it's easier to get to my company if I know the ticker symbol. So I chose Amazon before. What do I want to choose this time? Let me think of one. You guys got any? How about cat? So I click on Caterpillar. It gives me what its current stock price is and those types of things. By the way, we're not interested in that. Okay, you're doing a financial analysis. I don't really care what the stock price is. Get that in the back of your mind now. I don't really care what its performance has been in the stock market for the last 2-3 months or 2-3 years or whenever. Okay, so you're just doing a financial analysis. We're going to look at this because you can't help but look at this, and so we'll see it, and we'll go rah-rah if our stock's going up, and we'll go boo-boo if our stocks are going down, okay? But that's it. It doesn't have any place really in your report other than your final recommendation. Okay, you're ultimately going to make a recommendation as to whether we should buy, sell, or hold this. So you might take a look at it. You might think this is a really good company, but holy cow, they're way overpriced. You know, if I was doing Tesla, that's what I'd say about Tesla, for example. Say, oh my God, you know, this company's going crazy, but who wants to buy something that's got a PE of 4,000 or 5,000 or whatever it is, right? We get a little bit of information up here, you know, market cap. This is how much the total company's worth. Market cap is simply the stock price times the number of shares outstanding. Okay, stock price times the number of shares outstanding. By the way, that's a great quiz question for in the future. Stock price times the number of shares outstanding. Okay, completely different than book value. Okay, right, here's the price to book. Book value is the accounting standard that we use, right? And we calculate what it's worth. Generally speaking, our market caps are going to be bigger than our book values because these are based more on cash flows and those types of things. You know, book values, we got depreciation and other stuff that's going on. So, okay. So we see that. Ultimately, we're going to come here maybe and look at the financials, but we just get a look at the financials here. Maybe not as much as what we'd like to see. And again, this doesn't show. Morningstar used to be a little bit better. And that's why I've kind of switched, and I go to FINRA. I get a little bit better look at their financial statements. I think Morningstar wants me to subscribe now to their premium and do all that, and I don't want to pay the money. So, and I don't want you guys to pay the money. So, I'll show you FINRA on Thursday how we can get there, and I think look at the financial statements a little bit better. But this gives us some basic information, kind of to start our paper a little bit, and just start messing around with that. At this point, just start messing around with it. Your first assignment is just going to be to provide me the company and I think the ticker symbol, right? I want to make sure that we're all on the right track. I want to make sure that you've chosen a company that's going to be reasonable to analyze, and away we go. But you can start messing around and start looking at your company, maybe trying to find some of these things that you're going to want to know when the time comes. Ultimately, you're going to be looking at the annual reports. Okay? Again, they're kind of lengthy, but there's usually 10 pages that's devoted to the financials on an annual report, and that's the part you're probably going to be looking at. So, okay, that's it for today. You got Chapter 10 due this week. You got to turn in your Project 1 should be completed by the end of this week, right? And you got to pick your company by the end of this week. So you got a few assignments on your table for this week, but a couple of them aren't too daunting. You should have had your Project 1 pretty close to done. So I will quit.